Well, YouTube Nation, do you remember this locomotive from a few videos ago? This was the locomotive that had the MRC decoder onto the motherboard of this locomotive. And it also had sound, and it also ran under DCC. And then, of course, the sound went, and I removed the sound. And then it wasn't working so well under DCC without the sound. It kept stammering. So I thought about it, and then you'll recall that I went to another swap meet, and in that Suzy Q Athearn Genesis SD70M, there was this. And I got to thinking, how crazy would it be for a dyed-in-the-wool DC guy like myself to save a DCC locomotive? Roll the credits. I'm going to read the insert that came with this chip, and it says operates on DCC and DC layouts, which is of course very good. It also has built-in hyperlight lighting effects, whatever the heck that means. It also, let me see, did I see something? It has the soundtrack's hyperdrive technology. I guess if we need to go from Tatooine to Alderaan, that won't be a problem. But what's also ideal is that, according to the insert, it's ideal for SD60s. Well, wouldn't you know? This is an SD60. Let's get the party started. I'm going to be doing something with the camera, so give me a moment, and I'll be right back. Right, so now, before we get into this thing, I did root around the internet and trying to see if soundtracks had instructions for how to install the sound decoder. And as it turns out, this thing is as old as the hills in relative terms. And yeah, it is this chip has been phased out, and I do apologize that things seem a little bit too close up, because I am using one of these gooseneck camera things, and it looks like this thing's about to come undone, so let's try this again. Alright, so after fighting with the gooseneck camera mount, I finally got this camera where I want it. So the thing about this particular decoder, it is ideal for the SD60, except when I was rooting around the internet, including Soundtrack's own website, I couldn't find the right installation instructions for this particular decoder and for a ready-to-run locomotive. The closest I could get was an Athearn RTR F59 PHI. Now, it is available on the Soundtrack's website. You will have to dig well enough to find that exact link. And I was messaging with Soundtracks, and they directed me to the link. And I will put that link in both the description and as a caption in this video. So, first things first, we are going to remove the shell. So fasten your seat belts, and let's get right into this. Okay, now I removed the front and rear couplers because that's the only way to get inside. I also removed the fuel tank cover, the fuel tank itself, because I need to get to the motor. So we're inside. Can everyone see this? Okay. One of the things that I'm a little bit uncertain about, and I noticed this when I ran it, when it was running, I'm not sure about the rear lights, if they're working or not. I am going to have to take a power pack and see if they're working. Now, the way that these RTR locomotives are set is that, of course, you have, let me find something that I could point nice with. You have the front and you have the rear gear towers. Yeah, I know I botched. This is the front, that's the rear. The gear towers are in the correct orientation where the elbows are bent in the correct direction. You have a wire from the gear tower to this part of the decoder, motherboard, whatever you want to call it. You have the in the front gear tower, you have the same thing, and I was trying to get this thing working, which is why it's wired a little strange. Now, over here is where you have the negative, because a ready-to-roll Athearn locomotive is somewhat of a glorified blue box. It's a glorified blue box in the sense that the frame of the locomotive is necessary for the negative connection. And you have the negative connection right here, but there is none in the rear. And I noticed that in the directions for that F59 PHI. And as far as the motor goes, pardon me, you have a wire from the bottom of the motor to where the motor is wired into on the motherboard, but there is no positive wire from the top of this motor. And the explanation for that is this motherboard is clipped into the top motor clip, much like the blue boxes have that long metal strip that connects to the rear and front gear towers. These over here are for the lights, and we're going to undo that, and we're also going to so that we don't confuse it, we're going to I'm going to place a little piece of tape over where this wire should be soldered into the new decoder. So let's get that little tape. And I'm just going to get the soldering iron to heat it up. Now, while I'm waiting for the soldering iron to heat up, I have a couple of sneaking suspicions as to the stammering. I don't trust these clips, and chances are there's a little clip like this on the bottom of the motor. I'm gonna do away with that, and I'm just going to full on solder the wire to the gear tower itself, and I'm going to solder a wire to the excuse me, to the top and bottom motor clips. So first things first, let us get these clips off. Well, we really didn't need to do that for the negative, but it is what it is. That came off somewhere. Oh, I see where it went off too. Sorry, this is a gooseneck camera. Alright, there's the old motherboard. Should I get rid of it or no? We'll keep it. So now we're inside. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a perfectly good motor. And it's clean. I may have to clean it a little bit more. Clean the commutator, that is. Okay. That's gone. All right. Now, I am going to have to get underneath. Oh well. Okay. So we're gonna play rough. Was it enough to dislodge the motor? Of course not. Alright. Now, for my next trick, let's see if I can work with the motor yeah, I am gonna have to remove the linkages. And as I suspected, it's got that silly little clip. Alright, so I have the motor out, and it has that silly little clip over there, so I am going to remove that. But for me to remove that, the wise thing for me to do would be to remove the clip itself, and then remove the clip itself, and then desolder and remove that wire, and then solder a wire over here, and then solder a wire over here, and then we can remount the motor. But before I remount the motor, I'm going to isolate over here. I am going to do that off camera so that this basic project will not bore you to tears. So I'll be right back. Okay, so this is where we are. I removed that bottom clip. I isolated the bottom of the motor. Resoldered the wire to the front of the motor clip. On the bottom, of course. I soldered a brand new wire onto the top motor clip. And I've resoldered the wires that were originally clipped onto the gear towers. I had to replace the wire for this one because it was just gone. However, I wanted to show you that with a wire in the top clip and a wire in the bottom clip, that right now this locomotive is running on DC power. It's not such a great performance because of the cradle that I'm using, but I just wanted to show you where we are right now. So now it's time to bring on, thank you, it's time to bring on this fella. And I'm a little bit excited, and I'm sorry that it's in your face, but I just, I'm a little bit excited. So let's continue. Now, you'll notice that I'm wearing rubber gloves, latex gloves. This is because there are, since I've never done this before, installing a DCC chip, I don't want to get any of these pads with oily fingerprint. Now, if you want to do this without latex gloves, that's your choice. But I'm going to play it safe, and I am going to use latex gloves. Of course, my clumsy self, I might burn the latex with the soldering iron. But if we look at the chip, you'll notice that the instructions are pointing this way to front. But over here, is the front of the locomotive. This is the front of the locomotive. So, of course, you have to mount it, where it says front, this way. So, comes the next, the $1 million question: how do we mount this thing? Well, according to the instructions, there are no instructions with the enclosure. Curious. However, with the instructions that I found online, it says use double-sided foam tape. Mount the decoder to the top of the motor. I guess they didn't realize they made a rhyme. Now, so that's what I'm going to do next. And God help me. And I'll be right back. Okay. This is where we are next. Using the foam tape. Using double-sided foam tape, I've already mounted the decoder onto the motor itself. And as per the instructions, it needs to be near where the motor positive wire is, which is this red wire over here. Now, for ready-to-run locomotives, there is only one negative connection, or rather one motor negative connection from the chassis itself, and that's this one right over here. The other one, and this is, no, wait a sec, my bad. This is motor positive, this is motor negative, or rather chassis positive and negative. This is chassis positive in the rear. There is no rear negative. Now, this is where the website, the Soundtrack's website, breaks from the enclosed instructions. It wants you to use these silly little tabs, whereas the website instructions say solder everything into place. So I've already made solder points. I've made the solder point for motor positive and negative, speaker positive and negative, chassis negative, chassis positive, and for the lights. The lights will be eventual. What we're about to do next is solder the wires. I don't know if there's any order, but at this point, I'm eager to get this done without wanting to be hasty. Hold on. Unless my eyes are deceiving me. This locomotive is now wired for DCC. Test track. Let's go to the layout. Alright, so we have our locomotive on the DCC-EX mainline that I use for programming. And over here, we have engine driver launched. So I am going to go into DCC-EX and going into the track manager and choose DCC program. So that's set. I am going to switch on that main line and we have a heartbeat because that red light just came on. So now I'm going to zoom out because it's a little bit too close for comfort. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and close. Now I'm going to go into the track manager. No, not the track manager. The programming. Let's read the DCC address. And it gave an address of 3, which means we're cooking with gas. It's at this point that we can rewrite the locomotive number to either 60 for SD60, or we could use it for, we could do 7360, the 73 being S and D, and or we could just leave things as they are for now because we don't know what the heck we're doing. So now I'm going to go into CV8 and ask it to read the decoder. 141. 141 corresponds to soundtracks. So we're good as gold. Now comes the real test. I'm going to go into Track Manager, set it to DCC main, and it acknowledged it. I'm going to switch the main line back on. We have our red light right over here. We're going to close. I'm going to select number 3. Now, remember, there are no lights, there are no sound. It should just be forward and backward motion. So, we're going to say Om Shanti Shanti, and here goes nothing. Speed step 24. Yeah, I went a little bit too fast. I'm going to bring it back. Speed step 4. Wow, incredible. And I don't have the camera to show it. It's coming. It's coming. Wait for it. Beautiful. Let's stop her. Now let's go forward. So, and that's speed step 4. Whisper silent. But I am going to lubricate the joints of the motor. Just a little oil here and there, but that's fantastic. Let's stop it. All right. Let us move on to the sound. And I'm saying let's move on to the sound because the lights are a little bit. If I hook the lights up now, then it's going to be complicated because it's going to be dragging the shell. So let's get back to the workbench. All right. So we're back on the main line. And I'm going to switch the main line back on. And for some odd reason, I've got no sound. Curious. See if I get anything from function 8. Nothing. Anything from the bell? No bell. No horn. All right. Let's head back into programming mode. See what. Now, CV128 is the master volume. And it's at 192. Curious. Well, that is CV 130. $128. So I should be hearing something. Number 9. CV 130. 128. So we definitely have an issue going on. This speaker may be no good, or my wiring skills are rubbish. I wonder. All right. Let's go back to DCC main. All right, back to the workbench. All right, so I dove into the garbage and I dug up the original speaker, and so I connected it to this DCC to the decoder, and now I'm going to switch on. Oh, hold on a second, folks. There we go. That's better. So I'm going to switch on the main line and
alive! It's alive! It's alive!
so Let's see what we've got. Do we have a bell? No bell. Do we have a horn? Yeah, we got a horn. I wonder if the values were transposed. Let me check the light. Get the bell. Ah, there we go. I like that horn. Because, I mean, I'm going to keep the horn and I'm going to keep the bell because I don't know DCC. I'm a DC guy. But let's see how she is. Oh. Speed step 4. Speed step 8. Wait, come back. All right. So we've got forward and backward motion. We've got sound. And now we have to give this thing lights. I mean, put the lights back on. More to come, folks. All right. So, as you can see, the shell is not on all the way because I just wired the lights to the new decoder, and I tried testing the lights on a DC power pack, and I couldn't get anything. But which leaves me to wonder: am I going to have to replace the bulb, the lights that were in this shell? And fortunately, the Soundtrack's decoder can handle up to 1.5 volts for a bulb, and the LEDs that I use come within that, and that's a good thing. So if I have to change the lights, I will. So I'm going to switch the main line back on. Now, let's have a moment of truth for the lights. Yeah, just as I feared. The lights are no good. Even though I soldered them to the corresponding terminal, I'll have to replace them. Alright, we'll be right back. Alright, so we're back at the layout. Now, I know you'll probably say, hey, Ian, these lights are too long. The wires are too long. But you have to understand that they are going to be glued into the shell. So I need enough slack in order for the wire to travel, in order for the bulb itself to be glued to the shell. So I'm going to 1 second. We're going to turn the main line back on. Now, let there be light. I'm getting no light. Ooh. All right, back to the bench. All right, good news and bad news. So I got the show back on. I cannot for the life of me figure out how to get the lights to work, because I did look up the Soundtrack's diesel owner's manual, and there was a section about LED compensation and what to set the CV value for the locomotive. And the CV value for the headlights, 49 for rear and 49 for front and 50 for rear. And it's telling you, use a table, find the value, find the number, and then for LED compensation, add 128. So I just put in 128 because There's something called crossing logic, which I don't need crossing logic. It's grade crossing logic. Folks, this is my layout. I don't have that sort of simple thing for grade crossing logic. So for the time being, there are no lights. I just desoldered the LEDs that I put on this decoder, and I just managed to get the show back on, and she's beautiful. Alright, so as I said, I don't know how to get the lights to work. So there are no lights installed. So if there's anyone out there who can help me figure out how to get the lights to work, and these are the LEDs that I want to use. Dave over at Scott Rails turned me on to these LEDs, and I've been using them in Athearns, AHMs, and the Concord ST35 that I got from Jerry. I want to use these, so I need to know how do I wire these and get it to play along with that. So I am going to reprogram the engine number, because right now it's on 3. So give me a second and I'll be right back. So I've programmed it to 7360. 7 is S on your telephone keypad dial. 3 is D on your telephone keypad dial, and then 60 for ST60. So let's just back her up a bit. Hold on, folks. Sorry, folks. I mean, it's not all bad. I give myself a B-, and I am harsh on myself like that because I didn't get the lights to work, and until I figure it out, the grade I give myself is good, will stand. And my main goal was not only to restore the DCC functionality of this locomotive, because I bought this DCC-enabled, and the sound had gone. I got the sound back. So I couldn't be more pleased to get those two boxes checked. So now what I'm going to go ahead and do is hook some cars up, probably move her over to that main line because I got some cars over there, and see how she performs. Be right back. Well, I am a very happy camper. Except for the part about the headlight, which is unfortunate, but I'm hoping that someone out there will help me figure out how to get the light to work, because like I said, I'm giving myself a B- for restoring the DCC functionality of this locomotive. When I bought it, it was running as a DCC locomotive, and for whatever reason, that motherboard or that decoder just went kaputski. But I am fortunate to have found this decoder, even though it is over a decade old. But it works. And it works a lot better than the previous motherboard, even though that was factory installed by Athearn themselves. I mean, the previous owner put that decoder in there and did away with the blanking chip. Nevertheless, we got ourselves a proper running locomotive, and I couldn't be happier. So, with that being said, I'd like to thank my subscribers for your continued support. If you are not a subscriber, there is a link at the bottom right-hand corner. Please like the video. Please share the video. It helps me get out there. And as always, thank you so much for stopping by. I'll see you soon.